Hello everyone, welcome back to another Friday and another casual champion review. Today we're playing Karthman, Eric Karthman. I was going to play him mid, because I refused to play him jungle, except the game gave me top again, just like how Karma gave me support, and Kalista gave me... Did I play Kalista top? I think that was a bad game I got. Regardless, mid lane doesn't exist anymore when you're trying to play solo queue. I think I'm at the point now where my account is too high leveled. So even though I'm not really good at the game, I get matched with people that are really good at the game, and my experience is terrible. You know what isn't terrible though? Fan art section. I feel like the fan art section is just like devolving over time. I think it originally started as just people drawing me as the champion, and then drawing some of my other characters as the champion. That'd be whenever it's varied, let's say the least, but it's all cursed and wonderful. So thank you, folks. Those some of the ones that are drawn as me as a champion. Those are probably my favorites because I just think it's funny. But thank you, folks. They're all amazing. Thank you. So, the runes told me to take exhaust. I'm not sure if that's what you're supposed to do. I haven't played Karthus in a while, which is weird because I actually have 100,000 mastery points in this guy, which for me, that's pretty high because I think mastery 7 on about 70 characters in the game now. So having one character that high up is a pretty big deal. I already know that this match is going to be an absolute pain in the ass. It's Yasuo. He's going to hit level 2 and start dashing on me instantaneously. Yep, there he goes. Oh boy. This is going to be a fun match, I can tell already. Karthus was born into poverty in the slums on the outskirts of Noxus, which normally I don't think it's really brought up anywhere else that there are very poor people in Noxus. It kind of goes against the philosophy of Noxus is supposed to be, that everyone in Noxus is welcome, everyone in Noxus is strong. So to find out the dark history, I guess this is kind of like Superman Red Sun, where he thinks he's living in a utopia, but there's actually the gulags below, and he gets really horrified. I guess in Noxus there just are slums of poor people there, and people die all the time. It's literally like living in the medieval ages. It's just plagues and death happening all around him. And Karthus was one of those people. I hate Yasuo players. Wait. Karthus was born into these slums along with his 2 sisters? 3 sisters. I don't know. He had sisters regardless, and a father. Unfortunately, his mother died while birthing him, so he was experienced with death right from the beginning. And he had a bit of a problem with death in that he was very fascinated by it. In fact, a little bit too fascinated by it. He would sneak into other people's homes that were on the verge of death just to see the life drain from their eyes, to hopefully catch a glimpse of the moment before death. And unfortunately, he never got to see it. He was always either too late, too early, or picked the wrong person, so he never got to see that glorious moment he'd always wanted until death reached his doorstep. Not him, but his siblings, because there was a plague going around in the slums, and unfortunately it caught all 3. I don't remember his sisters. All of his sisters caught it, and while his father was grieving, he watched intently. He cared for them. Ah! Yasuo players eat their soup cold through a bendy straw. Behold, kindred, my expert mechanics. I earned that kill. He watched over his siblings in their final moments, watching the light fade from their eyes, and he grew even more fascinated. Probably should be sad about your siblings dying, but, watching people die, that's pretty cool, I guess. The Tallyman in Noxus came to collect the dead bodies of his siblings, and he followed them, asked them question after question about the nature of death, about how we could possibly find this beautiful existence between life and death. What happens after death? Where's the light go from between their eyes? All that. Oh. The Tallymen were so enamored by Karthus' dedication to death that they let him into their ranks. And he would stay within their ranks for years, rising up the pecking order, eventually rising to the rank of Corpse Collector. He doesn't know. Oh! Yasuo players kick puppies in the street for fun. So as Corpse Collector, he went around town gathering the dead, a lot like you see in I don't even know if they did this in the old days, but whenever I think of it, I just think of that old Monty Python sketch, just to bring out your dead. Like, that's what he did. But he would sing his dirges as he was doing this, and they became famous throughout Noxus. It actually helped a lot of people because he would sing about how, oh, but don't you see? Death is beautiful. They're going to a better place. It's better in death, and they'll be happy. I'm not happy right now. But Karthus wasn't very happy. He came to the conclusion that mortals had nothing else to teach him, that the only thing he could learn now was from the actual undead themselves. Unfortunately, the dead are not very good at talking usually, so he couldn't get very many answers from the people in Noxus. However, he heard whispers of the Shadow Isles, and of course, a land full of dead people sounds like just the place for old Karthman. So he travels to the Isles, and arriving there, surrendered himself to the Black Mist, basically saying, yes, take me, become death or something. And because of his willing submission to the Black Mist, I don't know if this is a pattern, because Thresh was kind of the same way, I guess, but he keeps his personality, and instead of being malformed into this horrible abomination, he is instead transformed into this undead lich. The other spirits of the Isles are intrigued by him, following his commands as if he's some ghostly priest. So now he exists basically as the embodiment of undeath, believing that the state he is in is now perfect, and he needs to share his blessing with the rest of the world to bring the entire rest of Runeterra into this perfect state of undeath, that free from the curse of life and into the beauty of death forever. I mean, it's a good thing he went to the Isles and didn't just die of natural causes or when Mordekaiser was alive. I think he'd have a very different perspective of death, of having your soul turned into a literal brick. But this is where his story ends, unfortunately, which is weird because for a character all about death, you would think he probably had a pretty pivotal role in Ruination, right? He wanted to go out and kill people to bring them into his glorious release. You'd think he'd be all down with Viego running around slaughtering everybody, but unfortunately he didn't even make a cameo appearance. Even Yorick got that. Oh no, speaking of death. Wait! Oh! I am immortal! It's just weird that you'd think he would have been a pivotal part of Ruination, trying to even deceive Viego or be on Thresh's side, because Thresh wants everyone to live in eternal torment. Maybe he has a bit of an opposing view. I wish we learned more about Karthus' psyche, because he is fascinated with death, but not so much with suffering. It's a weird kind of contradiction, I guess. Maybe I'm reading into his character totally wrong, but he's not... To me, he doesn't even come off as inherently evil. It's like... his goal is sort of righteous. He believes that everyone will be happier and more peaceful in death. I wish this Yasuo would die. So I don't actually know if he would be on Thresh's side now that I think about it, because they kind of have opposing ideals where Thresh wants people to die to torment them, whereas Karthus thinks it's genuinely better for people to be in the state of undeath, free from the curse of life. That'd be kind of interesting if you had like a little dichotomy between the two, where they both have a similar goal of wanting to kill everybody, but Thresh is more for the sake of wanting to hurt people, where Karthus thinks he's actually helping people. Ah, get him, Wick! Right after he says, this Warwick champ is for cucks. Just get 1,000 movement speed for existing. Good shit, Riot. Yeah, that'd be crazy if champions got absurd stats just for existing. Like, imagine if you got double crit chance and a shield for walking. That'd be insane. But I like the idea, too, that Thresh, Karthus, and I guess technically Ladros, though Ladros lost himself to the madness eventually, but they are the only characters that didn't lose themselves in the corruption of the Black Mist. And Kalista completely lost her sense of self. Maokai, Maokai's a spirit, so he doesn't really count that much. I don't need to hit anything twisted, bitch. Mechanics. It raises the point of, if you willingly succumb to the Shadow Isles and let the Black Mist overtake you, does that mean you get to keep your sanity? I don't know how true that is, because Karthus and Thresh are both insane. They're already insane in their own way. So maybe you have to be that way to survive the mist. I don't know. I will say, out of all the Shadow Isles folks, he's definitely up there as one of my favorites. I have a soft spot for Mr. Mori, but Karthus, I think, he stands out a lot from the crowd, and partially because he was reworked, I think, slightly after the Shadow Isles had had their identity reinvented with Elise's reveal with the Twisted Tree line, rest in peace. Yeah, so players definitely watched exclusively Johnny Test as a child. Oh, mechanics! Ah. There is a simple satisfaction in just pressing a button from 500 million yards away and just just killing them. There's one thing I kind of like about him that makes him stand out from the rest of the Shadow Isles crowd is the red. And not only does it make him stand out that he's not so much aligned, I guess, with the rest of the Shadow Isles folks, at least in the same vision of what they want to accomplish, but it harkens back to that he is from Noxus. He is a Shadow Isles character, but he has a different point of origin. It also makes sense, I think, to have him stand out from the rest of the crowd, because I'm pretty sure every other Shadow Isles character, save for Vex, originated from the Ruination. I think, you know, Thresh, Viego, even Gwen, I guess, technically. So she emerged a bit later, but they're all from the same central point, whereas Karthus is fresh meat for the Shadow Isles, so he should look a bit different as he's from the more modern age. Another thing I like about Karthus is I mentioned last week about Karma that, well, I'm not a religious person. I do think characters that incorporate their religion as a power fantasy, as a source of their abilities, I think is really cool. And Karthus is not exactly religious, but you can see he's supposed to be kind of a religious figure. Even when he was in Noxus, he had almost a holy church in a way of helping these people move on from death. In a very roundabout sort of way, he is like a ghostly bishop. You know, the big hat and all the robes. I don't know if bishops have these big staffs. I know there's some religion has these little wand things. I don't know much about it. I really like that. I mean, it's not the most unique thing in the world, just like it's a unique thing for Yasuo players to have an actual loving family. He's not unique in the sense that there aren't other ghostly or hallowed bishops in fiction, but in League, in Shadow Isles, it is very unique from everything else. I don't know, I'm conflicted with Karthus because he's not the most original thing in the world, but I like him. I think he's got a good spot in Runeterra. I just wish they would just do more with him. Come on, Thresh gets the spotlight all the time. We never see anything of Karthus. I would love, again, to see that dichotomy between their philosophies, to see, does Karthus actually align with Thresh's ideals, or are they at opposing ends? Would Karthus rather be the leader of the Ruination or the leader of the Shadow Isles, as opposed to Thresh, who's clearly that's being set up? Oh, there's also a big note on his design, which a lot of people don't even remember, that Karthus was in fact reworked. He was one of the more earlier visual updates, but unlike Sejuani, it was a very drastic change compared to the old one, and mainly it was to remove the Skeletor face. And in most of his skins as well, he had a very clear skull for a head. And listen, I'm not going to say that the old design was better. I don't think it is by any metric, but I will say I miss when skeletons and skeletal features were used more in character design, man. Like, I know it's for censorship laws and all that jazz, but it adds a unique layer, especially of death characters, and I think it would make sense for Karthus. You stole my mechanics! The skeletons are kind of associated with goofy things now, thanks to Spooky Month, but I do miss having skeletons in media more often, and, you know, Karthus is great. I still like Karthus a lot. I like his staff and his cloak and his robes, and I like his little ghostly face. It looks better in the Splasher, I think, compared to his actual in-game model. He looks a lot more ethereal there than he does here. It looks more like an actual ghoul face than it does this haunting mist face. But I can't deny there is a part of me that misses the actual Skeletor-looking face. On the topic of gameplay, I guess because we are trying to take this here jungle camp, I hate Karthus jungle. I really do. I know I said, like, I have 100,000 mastery points on this character. It's clearly a character I put a lot of time into, and I can say with certainty I despise Karthus jungle. In fact, I played a game of Karthus jungle earlier, tried to record with it, and I was miserable. I hated it. I got invaded all game long because I run out of mana too quickly, and I just die. I hate it. I don't know why it became a thing. I don't know why it is a thing. It doesn't even make any sense. It's not satisfying to just sit around and press Q on unmoving things. Half the fun of Karthus is trying to do this, trying to get predictive cues. Like, damn it. Oh, please. I am the true master of death. And that's the thing, I think, probably why I played so much Karthus, is because he is deceptively simple, yet satisfying. Something about landing those cues, getting the predictive movements. It's like you're having to land auto attacks, but in a way that feels satisfying, like just because the sound design of the bow whenever you hit a Q and a little AoE thing, compared to something like Zeri, which is like Zeri's so unsatisfying. Also 80 carry moment. But also, when you die on Karthus in an instant, you actually get to do stuff. It's funny. I don't think it's very fair or balanced if a Karthus, you know, usually if you destroy the hypercarry, usually they don't get to use their ult immediately afterwards. But Oh yeah, the ult. I said it's like he's weirdly complicated, but he couldn't be simpler. He has this weird Q mechanic of trying to land your spells like that, but then he also has the ult and an E that I can just turn on and just does damage around me. By all definition, not having to land anything. Watch, I'll die. I took the dragon? It's admittedly not a playstyle for everybody. I can completely understand if people would get bored of just pressing Q all day and then pressing Alt when someone's low. It's not the most exciting to play on repeat, though. For me personally, I don't tend to play a lot of champions on repeat for very long. After, like, 5 to 10 games-ish of playing the same champion, I want to play something new. Probably why I have a hard time understanding one trick. So just get bored of champions really quickly. However, Karthus is a fun guy to pick up every now and again. If I was able to play him mid and not against a Yasuo top lane, try to get in my business every 5 seconds, Karthus is a very relaxing champion to play. It's one of those characters you just sit back and last hit with Q every now and again, watch your opponent try to hit you from 5 million range away. It's very soothing. So even though this is my second time trying to record this casual review, I actually didn't mind it because unlike Karma or Kalista, where I had to play several games to get anywhere semblance of decent footage, I hate playing those characters. They're just not fun to me. And I'm going to have the same experience with Kassadin, I'm sure, and Katarina, and Kayle, and a lot of the K champions. But Karthus, I do genuinely enjoy. Not in a love, like I absolutely love this character's gameplay, like Volibear or Lilia or something. Like, those are characters I genuinely love playing over and over again. Karthus is just a swell time. As for skins, I think he has quite a lot of good skins as well. Obviously, Pentakill match that thematic perfectly. And it's a common criticism I have with a lot of the newer band skins. They don't weave their champions' weapons into the skin very well. Like Akali just has these random things with her. Aphelios is just holding a bunch of guns despite being a DJ or something. It doesn't make any sense. But with Karthus, and even Pentakill 1 as a whole, like Karthus, his staff turns into a microphone, and they gave him unique voice lines for the skin too, despite not charging extra. Wow, imagine if Riot put extra effort into something and then charge for it. Lee Sin, Skarter. I'm not the biggest fan of Pentakill 3 though. I know some people really like it. The humanification of Karthus is not something I particularly enjoy, especially considering his whole thematic is about being undead. I know a lot of people love it, and a lot of people like Pentakill 3 in general. I just think Pentakill 1 is unmatched thematically, though not for Karthus specifically. I think he's one of the few champions that actually nails the Infernal aesthetic well, because he just turned him into Sauron, which I think that just works well for him, or Karthus Lightbane. Is it Lightbane or Lightsbane? He's the Lightsbane, right? Or is it Light? I don't know. Karthus Lightbane. I like that one decently enough, though it is a pay-to-lose skin, weirdly enough, because your Q has a exact range indicator. Though, did they change that for all his skins now? I think they changed that for all his skins now. And, of course, Elderwood Karthus released last year? I think it was, or the year before. I don't remember which. But it is genuinely one of the best Elderwood skins out there. And incorporating his thematic of undeath into Elderwood, being this kind of hybrid of light and death in the Elderwood scene, really awesome. I love that skin so much. Yasuo plays the kind of people that would pay for a children's pizza party at your local elementary school and then fill the pizza with pesticides. I don't have much more to say about Karthus. I think I've talked about him for a fairly long time, though it's been interwoven by Yasuo players being the absolute disgusting inhuman freaks that they are. I've been very negative about Yasuo today. You gotta understand, it's very difficult trying to play a character who does nothing but try and land a Q skill shot where they're completely dashing all over the place and getting a shield for free. Not fun. Oh, no. Okay, see, that one was my bad. Something tells me that we might have lost this game. I don't know why. Maybe we'll make a glorious comeback. Who knows? Never mind. Thank you, fellas, for stopping by this week's Casual Champion review. I hope you enjoyed it. I do like playing cards, so this was a good time for me. But next week, we have to play the Father of the Void, Kassadin. Not looking forward to that one. So thank you, fellas. Take care of yourselves. Stay safe, and have a good one, all right? Goodbye.